Jordan Spieth is joining us here at the 106th PGA Championship. Jordan, welcome to Valhalla, and what is your 12th PGA Championship? How's your week been, and what have you seen of the course so far, and what do you think?
Thank you. Yeah, I was here 11 years ago. I actually didn't remember a whole lot about it. I remembered really, I think, the back 9 or at least 13 in. I've only played the front 9 this week. I plan on going out in a few minutes here to the back and seeing it. It's a big golf course. Obviously a premium on hitting in the fairway. The greens are small and there's not really a lot of areas to run shots up onto the green. So if you do miss the fairway in the rough, you're kind of playing to where the easiest up and down is versus really trying to hit the green. So premium on obviously tee to green, and then the greens are pure. So I think if you're giving yourself looks, you don't necessarily have to be in tight to the hole. You'll see guys make some putts this week. They're very pure surfaces. Hopefully, as we say every week, hopefully the rain kind of holds off so that it doesn't, doesn't get too soft. But yesterday it was, I thought, a kind of a perfect firmness. And yeah, I mean, it's a major championship. It's the one that's eluded me so far, and it would be pretty incredible to work my way into contention and have a chance this week and see if I can try to make that history. I've had a number of chances since having the other 3 and come close a couple times, but never quite close enough at the end to really have a chance. So that would obviously be the goal this week.
That's great. Thank you. We'll open it up for questions now, starting on Mike 11 and then over to 13.
So just kind of expanding on what you just said, do you like that talk of the career Grand Slam? Only a handful of players have ever done it. Does that motivate you, or do you get tired of hearing that you just need this one?
Neither. I mean, I'm aware. It's very cool, but I would take any and all and as many majors as possible, regardless of where they come. It's just a kind of a cool thing if you're able to hold all 4. There's just not many people in the game that have done that, and you have an opportunity to do things that are very unique in the game of golf. That's what kind of stands out, that stands the test of time afterwards. So, yeah, I mean, anytime we come to these weeks, the idea is to have prep to try to peak for, really 4 times a year, and this is one of them.
It seems over the last couple of years, the PGA Championship has kind of taken on its own style of how they set up a golf course or courses they pick. Max Homa was in here, called it kind of the old U.S. Open kind of setup that they've adopted. Just wondering how you've kind of seen maybe the setup evolve of this tournament over the years and what you kind of think of them kind of taking that kind of approach.
Well, I think when the move to May opened up opportunities like just where they could go, and I think that helps change the variety of golf course. I think, ever since that move, you've had, I thought Bethpage was a phenomenal PGA setup. It's a great golf course too, but then you have, which is a big, U.S. Open style golf course. It had a U.S. Open. And then you have Kiowa, which played totally different. And then Southern Hills, which is kind of in between the two. So I think there's a variety, and I think it's what's cool about, you go to these great golf courses, but now, you've opened up the opportunity to go to places like Texas in a few years where you don't have that opportunity in August. I certainly wouldn't advise it in August, and which will be fun. But I think it's been a really good change for the tournament. I think they've played a little bit faster. Obviously with some exceptions, as just May is still a rainy time of the year for anywhere, but it's just a little less of where you have to keep the greens as soft and stuff. So you got opportunities to kind of have a little faster golf courses some years, and the setups have been awesome.
Nick?
Jordan, as a dad who's a golf pro, what advice would you give to Scotty Scheffler? As a what, sorry? As a dad who's a golf pro.
Oh, like me, and then give it to Scotty?
Yeah.
It wouldn't have anything to do with being a golf pro. I think we've done a good job of taking home on the road as long as we can until our oldest, will start real school. And I think, knowing Scotty and Meredith, that's probably what they'll try to do as well. And I think, it's very doable. We go somewhere for a week and we bring home on the road with us. And instead of it seeming like, or one, I would just be away from my family, which fortunate to not have to do that. And, or two, kind of not fully committing, I guess, to it and it all being a little crazy. I think we've just fully committed to that. So I would just tell them, hey, this is how we did it, and we really like it. But to each their own. Everyone likes to parent different ways. I think it's probably the number one piece of advice you guys would say is don't tell someone else how to parent, because everyone does it differently. And I'm glad everything's gone well and they're doing great there at home. And Andy's able to be here this week.
Is that a lesson learned? Is that something over time that is?
No, I just think that's kind of an obvious thing.
Yeah.
Like, just don't get involved. But I mean, go off your own experience, and then people make their own choices, I guess. So, he knows what's coming. He's going to be very involved. Dad, that's just who he is, and I feel like I am. So I feel like I can, if he asks, I'll tell him how I do things. But I don't think giving advice to him right now serves anyone in this field very well.
11?
With how close you are to JT, how big of a sense do you get that this tournament in his hometown is for Justin this week? And do you give him any advice?
No, I don't. He's won this tournament twice. I haven't won it. So that would also be a bad idea to give him advice. But I played 9 holes with him yesterday, and I play a lot of golf with him. Yesterday felt different. There was a massive amount of support for him already, and I know that'll just continue as the week goes on. I know he's, maybe if there's one tournament this year left that he'd want to win, it'd be this one here, and it'd be something that would be one of the coolest moments of his life, maybe forever, and just the significance of it. And so he's, at the same time, he's pretty good at shutting out distractions and keeping his head down. So I think he's embracing it, but not. He didn't seem any different yesterday.
Alex?
Yeah, Jordan, after what happened at Augusta, can you kind of assess what you did from there and what you're trying to do to get to this point and play well here and then keep going forward?
Yeah, I had 2 bad holes. And they were costly mistakes, and otherwise I think I could have made a run. I stand by what I've kind of said a little bit this year. Like, I feel like, my mechanics are more sound than they've been in a long time. I feel like, I'm driving the ball better maybe than I've ever driven the golf ball. I feel like I'm playing better than my results, and that's a really frustrating. It's a different kind of frustration. It's not kind of the same as when you're searching for stuff. And I'm not very good at being patient, but that's kind of what I have to be. And then something will click, and I feel like I'm close to going off and doing some really, really cool things. But it's just kind of been a couple shots here or there where I'm either playing the wrong shot, or I took out too much club or not enough club, and it's just really costly mistakes at wrong times at some tournaments that, maybe should only affect a couple shots, but end up bringing me down a little bit because I then try and force it because I haven't had the results I've wanted. And I think that's been my biggest mistake is, last week on Friday, I'm in 4th or 5th place on the 17th hole, and I hit, a really good shot and caught a kind of a wind dying down wind flip. I had the same ball speed as the guys as Colin in front of me, who hit it 30 feet past the hole, and mine goes 30 feet short of the hole into the water. I make double, and then bogey the last after our delay. So I go 3 over there when I was looking to go par, and it should just be 3 shots, but then I come out trying to force it Saturday and make it all up and have a bad day. So it's kind of been this weird little bit of lack of patience, but my game feels actually really good. It's just kind of a funny timing right now that I thought Sunday's round was really good, and I could build off that coming into to this week, and I think any week, it wouldn't surprise me if I found my way into contention any week right now.
Just a question about your other job, which is actually being on the policy board. Obviously, with the Jimmy Dunn thing, which kind of caught most of us by surprise, it seems like, reading his comments and just looking at the landscape, that the players now are really more in control of the situation than they ever have been before. And that may be part of the reason why Jimmy felt like he was not involved in the discussions. Do you feel like, as a player, that you now are in more control of the PGA Tour and which way it's going than you did in past times?
I would say that I think that there's been a shift that direction, but I think that we're finding the appropriate balance going forward. I think there probably was a need for it from years ago, from pre-COVID. And maybe the balance got tipped a little, and there's just a little seesaw kind of to try to make sure it's figured out. But on enterprises, it seems to be, based on what I hear from the experts, lawyers, that it's a very good situation, that the governance is in a very sound place there, and things are moving actually a lot better than what people think they are. And so I think we're going to be at a really, really good place where the players on the PGA Tour can feel really good about it, as well as not having players making business decisions. Like, that's not, no, if you're in the room, it's very obvious that players are not dictating the future of golf and the PGA Tour. Like, it needs to be, you need to have everyone's perspective on both sides of it, and everyone that's involved within enterprises. You have a lot of strategic investors that know a heck of a lot more than any of us players. So that's a false narrative that the players are determining all these things. That's not even what Jimmy was saying. Jimmy was saying more of the balance of things, and I think that balance is being restored on C6 to kind of maybe a place where it probably should be on the C6. And now that things have split up, they're two very different boards. But I hope and feel like everyone's trying to row the boat the same direction and get it to where it's they're both in a very sound place, that that stuff like what's been happening just doesn't keep happening.
Jimmy's leaving a loss, do you think?
Yeah, I think Jimmy Dunn not being involved when he was involved is a loss. I've spoken with him, just he and I, quite a few times over the last few months, and had really good conversations. And when he explains kind of how everything went about since he came on the board, it makes a lot of sense to me. And so I was a bit surprised, for sure.
Up to Mike 10.
Largely asked and answered right there. But in addition to that, Jordan, I'm wondering if a stronger player-driven part of the board, if that's empowering or if that's at all distracting to your other job of trying to win golf tournaments.
It's just balanced. It's not player-driven. So we just you guys have gotta stop saying that. Like, it's not the case. It's balanced in a way that, at least from what I've heard, the investors, tour management, and independents feel it should be. I think we're in a place where that's the case. We're being told that this is how it should be as well. And it went from, a lot less players to a balanced board. And especially on the Inc. side, that seems like we've been told that's a really good idea on was told to be a player-run organization. To have a balanced board with independents that are essentially making the decisions that we are not qualified to make, but us offering insights on how the membership would feel, and whether it's eligibility matters or whatever is left on the Inc. board. We both have an opportunity to offer insights to make the right decisions. So it's balanced.
We'll wrap things up right here with Ryan on 8.
Yeah, just a quick follow-up on that. You said that's a false narrative. What is the right narrative of what players are actually dictating on the board?
Well, there's there's a lot of committees, right? And you guys are, I'm sure, fully aware of the transaction committee at this point. So those are the people that are doing the, I don't even like to call it negotiating, like doing the talking and the figuring out, what a lot of the future product model looks like, having those conversations with, the public investment fund. So there's that. There's governance committees. There's all kinds of stuff. So and they're made up of combination of players, some tour management, Jay's involved, SSG, independents. So you want to like it's a balance. It's a at the very most a balanced number of players to other investors or somebody else on each of the committees, to where you get, ideally, like I mentioned, a bunch of the right perspectives. I think things are unfortunately put in a really bad light right now, and I think things are actually in a really, really good place based on what I know, which is quite a lot in this situation. And I think things are moving forward at a speed that both sides are probably frustrated at each other at different times when they're trying to get a hold of each other. I mean, there's a lot of other things going on as well, but in general, everyone on our side, I believe, are rowing the boat the right direction together, the same direction together, and I believe we're going to end up in a really good place. And I just continue to kind of chuckle because I only feel positive momentum when we're actually having these internal conversations, and then every time anything comes from the outside world, it's the opposite, and it just kind of makes me chuckle a bit because it's a bit frustrating. So I hope our fans and fans of golf are aware that people are trying to do the right thing and the same thing together. It's going to take a little bit of time to figure out exactly what that looks like.